Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of The Mandalorian, Chapter 20, The Foundling. And I really enjoyed this episode. Granted, it was only like 32 minutes or so, but it was action-packed, it had a lot of character development and actual character interactions, and it didn't seem poorly paced. Like, I wasn't looking at my watch like, oh damn, this is still dragging on. Like, it's stark contrast to the previous one where it was like, oh, okay. So they were like, yeah, we know people want to see what goes on at this place at the covert with the Mandalorians. So here you go. And this just worked out very well. We got good character stuff with Din, a lot with Grogu, Bo-Katan, and pretty much all the Mandalorians involved that we kind of had going through. So we see the covert, we see the Mandalorians pretty much training and doing their usual kind of activities, and it's actually showcased seeing them flying around, doing all different kind of training maneuvers and everything, which, for the most part, most of the effects work out. There's some odd kind of ones every here and there, kind of similar to the TIE Fighter one, where they were kind of like messing around at Bo-Katan's planet where her house was. But overall, the main effects worked out pretty well. So we see that they're training. We see the Foundlings kind of training, going to apprentice and everything. We see Grogu pretty much sitting and playing with rocks that are actually crabs. And Din's like, all right, let's do this. And he pretty much is like, all right, you have to train. We have to teach you to be a Mandalorian. We're going to get you into some training exercises. And we see the kid that pretty much spoke the words and had to deal with like almost getting eaten by like a giant fucking alligator dinosaur thing. He is able to be one of the other foundlings, and then Grogu's put forth, and he's like, has he even said the words? He's like, he's too young to say the words. And he's like, whatever. And we see like, maybe this lesson isn't for him. And we see that they get a judge involved, give him like pretty much the blow dart kind of stuff, and Grogu's like looking like, we get a lot of like character from his looking and everything like that. I really love the work with the animatronics, because Grogu is a character, like looking at Dan being like, what do I do with this thing? He's like, you squeeze it to kind of shoot the darts. It's like, okay. So we see, of course, the judge is like, all right, whoever's got pretty much the most hits wins, go for it. And then we see that the other kid, Ragnar, hits Grogu and hits him again for a second time, and Grogu's pretty much going to fail. But Din says that it's okay for him to do what's going on. And the funny thing is, Bo was also like kind of helping him put on the the dart thing. She's like, don't worry, your dad's just really proud of you and wants you to do your best. My dad was kind of the same way, and it was really cool because Grogu's getting a bonding moment with Bo-Katan. We're getting more information from her. And Grogu's like, all right, he said I can do it. And he's let to begin, and he starts utilizing the Force to kind of jump around, kind of confuses the kid, and then hits him with 3 hits. And it's like, yep. And I was like, damn. So he's kind of like, not completely sulking, but he's like, damn, the little thing got me. And then, of course, since he's kind of a little bit further away, the Shriek Hawk pops up and frickin' takes his ass. It's like, shit. And Paz Vizsla's like, all right, we're gonna have to go do this. They tried to shoot at it. Well, no, he said no blasters because you could hit and kill the kid. And it becomes important because we learn later on that Ragnar is Paz Vizsla's son. And he wants to protect his kid. Very much giving us kind of a way to connect with him, similar to Din and Grogu. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. They tried to jetpack after it, but they all pretty much ran out of fuel at the same time. But Bo-Katan decided to use her flyer, followed it to pretty much where it nests, and then came back to report. And while that's going on, Grogu is told to come with the armor and kind of learn more of Mandalore, that the Forge is important to Mandalorian society, and that just like the steel is forged, and like the Beskar, we get out the impurities, we work on it, we forge it, we also do with it ourselves. We find our weaknesses and our strengths. And I think that's really kind of a cool way to look at it, and a cool way to have this kind of central thing with it. And while this is going on, we get a flashback of Grogu when Order 66 happened. And this was really cool because it showcases kind of why Grogu's got some attachment kind of issues, and like why he is as protective of Din as he is, and wanting to kind of like do more things. And it's important because this gives us kind of some more kind of motivation for him trying to be a little bit more active during this season, because we see that the Jedi tried to protect him. They tried to send him off to Kelleran Beck, which was really interesting because I didn't know about this character. He's played by the actor who played Jar Jar Binks in the prequels, and it was like this Jedi challenge kind of game show, but now he's canonized here in this dude that teaches younglings, and he was a badass, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, I want to learn more about this dude, because we see that Grogu is put into this elevator, taken down. He's like, come with me, and we see that Kelleran starts using 2 lightsabers to start taking out clone troopers very effectively with redirecting the blaster fire, and then has this chase scene on a speeder bike because he gets Grogu on there. They kind of get blasted out by a clone transport ship, and Grogu's kind of like having fun but kind of scared as well, hiding within his ball as well. But Kelleran goes into this tunnel where like pretty much a train was coming out and like bashes off to the other side, and then follows up and finds a friendly kind of Naboo starfighter and is able to get off as the Naboo forces hold off the clone troopers long enough for Kelleran and Grogu to escape Coruscant. Now, it's really kind of weird because I think they did this 2 factors, so that way they could utilize the Coruscant scene as much as possible. They did that stuff with the New Republic and the Imperial officers, and then utilizing it here. It's a reuse of assets that I think works out very well, in that you are using a location in 2 different time periods, but to various different effects. Like, granted, I liked what we got from that Imperial one with the New Republic, but it really needed to be its own kind of episode. They're getting really weird and doing kind of stuff where they're like inserting things that would be better for their own kind of stories into other shows. Like in the Book of Boba Fett, the last 3 episodes were like the prelude to season 3 of The Mandalorian. This was just like, what? Now, granted, they kind of made up for it by, like, hey, you know that bookend where we were dealing with Din and Grogu and Bo-Katan, and then we came back to the Mandos? This episode perfectly is like, choop! And we see that Grogu is dealing with this trauma while the forging is going on, and he then comes back. He's like, okay, I get that. Now he's kind of dealing with it. We see his past. He is connecting with it and understanding it. It's like, ooh, I want to learn more of what he did with Kelleran and everything, because this dude just... there's so much potential with him. It's like, ooh, okay. And I know they do a lot with, like, a decent amount of Jedi escaped Order 66, but you never know how they kind of handle getting away with Order 66. You got your Quinlan Bosses, you got your Ahsoka Tano's, you got Obi-Wan Kenobi, you got Yoda, Kanan from Rebels, Cal Kestis, a lot of different ones. So... how does Kelleran deal with the rise of the Empire? How did he help Grogu? Why was Grogu alone and able to pretty much be taken by the other ones? We'll have to see how that all pans out. And they're like, yeah. And while this is going on, the armor forges this rondel for Grogu, because all Foundlings get armor made from him. She made it with the sigil of the Mudhorn of Din. You will grow into this. And it's funny because I like the armor as a character. She has her certain kind of beliefs, but she does not push them on others, and others will come and tell her certain things, but she will neither belittle them for them or like be like, oh, that's fucking awesome kind of shit. We definitely see that with Bo-Katan as we go later on. So they come back, they get their information. We see that Bo-Katan is set up as the lead for the hunt. Paz Vizsla's going to be going to gather some more, and they decide to go, and their plan is to fly into a certain distance, walk the rest on foot, climb up, and get to the top and try and get Ragnar. And so they decide to go on their hunting party, and we see them kind of figuring out how this kind of works out. Bo-Katan still hasn't taken her helmet off, and since she's leading, she is given the honorary spot by the fire as the rest of the Mandos get their food and then go off their separate ways to take off their helmets and eat. And Bo-Katan's like, this is different. And she takes off her helmet, and this is the first time we've seen her face since the whole incident with the living waters and seeing the mythosaur. So I don't know what they're doing with her, and that's the kind of cool thing. I hope that she's going for more of a good kind of thing, and that she's going to help these Mandalorians, and that she can find a way to kind of thread the needle of not being the Death Watch, but being the kind of way that would actually work out with these people, instead of having issues kind of pop up. We'll see. Though granted, she could be like, I'm going to make a cult, and we're going to go to war and screw this stuff up. And it's like, I don't know. We got to see how that kind of works out, how she interprets seeing the mythosaur and what she does with Mandalore. So they then get to the daylight hours. They start climbing up with their kind of their lines that you could pretty much use to like capture people. They just keep shooting them up, crawling up and everything. Din has a very kind of diminished role in this, which actually works out. We have had a lot of character development with him so far, so that's not that big of an issue. I do like the fleshing out of Bo-Katan, Paz Vizsla, the armor, Grogu. Nothing is wasted here. We get good, active character development on stuff. And the use of the flashback with Grogu makes sense and works out because it delivers pertinent information. Yeah. So, they get up there, we see that there's a heat signature, and Paz Vizsla's like, fuck this, he's my son, I'm going in. And Din's like, dude, don't do this. But, of course, they're actually the 3 baby chicks of the Raptor Shriekhawk thing. And the thing is, the mother pops up and is like, where's the kid? And he, like, it burps him up. It's like, fuck, that was in its stomach, motherfucker! And then he's able to he tries to go after the kid because he had, like, pretty much hit himself. But then it kind of, like, grabs him in a claw and starts flying away. So they kind of go after. Bo-Katan kind of gets knocked off and loses a pauldron. Paz is trying his best to kind of, like, fuck with it. And Din's the one that kind of helps out, kind of, like, going for the eye and everything like that. Paz is able to get his son, and so is Din able to help out. And he's like, yeah, he's my son. And he's like, this is the way, and this is the way. It's like, yeah, Din understands. He does the same stuff for Grogu, because Grogu's his son. And they pretty much took out the Shriekhawk, and it kind of fell towards the water, and one of those alligator motherfuckers ate its ass. It's like, god damn, Jurassic Park shit there. And they get back, and it's like, ah, damn, I hope that those chicks are okay. And I love this, because it shows a thing about Mandalorian culture as well, and how these people deal with things. Because I'm like, I would have went back and tried to, like, help those chicks. And the thing is, they brought the kid back, and they brought 3 more Foundlings with the Shriekhawks, and they're gonna take care of them and everything. And I'm like, I like that. That's a good thing to do. You killed the mother because it was going nutty, and you had to make sure that it would not, like, eat the kid and kill the kid. So you're like, but you take care of them, and you accept the consequences of your actions. That was the Mandalorians doing this. And the armor noticed that Bo-Katan had lost her pauldron, and it's like, alright, we're going to get you a new one because of the honor that you've done. You have saved a Foundling, you've brought 3 more Foundlings, and the mission was a success. So then we see her doing and working the Beskar and everything, and she's like, well, would you like another Night Owl as your sigil on this one? And she's like, I would like the Mythosaur. It's like, the Mythosaur belongs to all. And then Bo-Katan's like, what if I told you I saw one? It's like, that is an interesting vision. And she's like, a real one. And she's like, she doesn't really go one way or the other. It's like, that's for you to decide, to see what kind of importance that would actually play. And it's like, we'll have to see. Even, I liked how the armor handled it, because it's like, how important is it for you? What does it mean to you? And how will it affect your actions? And then we'll have to see how it kind of goes from there. It's like, I like the armor as a character the more we're getting into her and everything, because she's an interesting one. She doesn't force any beliefs on anybody. She takes all kind of information and kind of wants to see where it kind of goes and everything. We'll have to see how she handles certain things and what would she handle with seeing the mythosaur or whatnot. She's not a kind of culty extreme leader. She will follow certain rules, but if they are that important, but she doesn't go completely zealotry on things, which is a very interesting kind of balance that we have for her. So we'll see how this kind of goes going forward. I just really enjoyed this episode. It was nicely done, nicely acted, had good action that informed character. Like, you want action to showcase character as well. Good stuff with Grogu and everything. And this was evidently directed by Carl Weathers. You know, the high dude, Grief Karga. It's like, alright, good. I was like, I really enjoyed this one, and I can't wait to see what goes on next. And let me see, I better make sure I got that right. Yeah, Grief Karga. Oh, this just worked out, and it's like, alright, we're halfway through. Let's kind of see where this goes from here, and what's going to be going on. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.